Live. That's the question. I'm live, and I'm going to start my stream on Twitch. I'm streaming on Twitch and on YouTube. I'm multitasking. It's amazing. Where have I gone? Oh, here we are. Welcome to NoChaNoMa, Simon's living room. For all those in comments and on the show themselves, who are possibly the only audience at the moment, I've spammed everybody as usual. It's that time of the week again, and I do have a guest. and I will be receiving a Singlish introduction and an explanation of the rather unusual title of this show, starting now. Let me do this. Oh, there we go. Hello, welcome, Bernie, and welcome, Bernie's friend, all the way from lockdown in Zushi in Tokyo. It's Mama Jess and Bernie from Singapore. Bernie, welcome. Good to see you again. Long time no see. Please explain and say the title of this show.
Hello. So we are on Simon NoChaNoMa, and we are going to talk cock sing song today.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I don't really know the origin for this, but everybody just uses it, and they use it to just mean like we're just gonna talk and like just talk about anything under the stars, basically. Yeah.
Well, I did a bit of Google research on it, and the talk cock bit comes from talking sort of poppycock, sort of just talking, chit chat. Very old English,
I'm about to say it's like a rip from old English.
Yes, but yes, it sounds good anyway. So welcome, Bernie, and welcome, Jess. Bernie and Jess, if you saw the advert, anybody watched the advert, you'll see them sort of embracing one another at the 2016 YouTube Hanami. That was a long time ago. And also a long time ago, before that, just to give you everybody some context, I stayed at Jess's house on my very first visit to Japan. So that's the connection there. But actually, just for my own curiosity, how did you two guys get to know each other? Wasn't through
Hanami,
or just?
Oh no.
No.
Oh, 忘れた.
Trying to think now.
We either met at YouTube Academy or it was online.
Yeah, I think it was like
I don't remember at all.
I think it was kind of like that whole J vlogger circle thing, and then you know one person, and then they know somebody else, and then you also know their other friend. Then I think it's because like I knew Sophie and Zach and Shannon and everybody, something like that, and then somehow we all became friends.
And I'm Mama. And
Mama's house. Yes, I stayed at Mama's house. It's very nice.
Everyone has stayed have come into Mama's house.
So Bernie, this is a crucial question now, because I haven't seen you for quite some time. You've been on hiatus. We'll get onto that. But what are you up to these days?
Basically, haven't really been doing very much. So after I left Japan, I came back to Singapore. And I started, I enrolled into a master's program. And then my master's, I was studying communications and new media. And then because I really enjoyed studying things like social media, so I wanted to continue doing something like that when I came back to Singapore. So I spent like 3 years in the university, both teaching and finishing my master's. And I recently finished it at the start of this year, and then I have been working, and that is basically my life now.
Oh, right. So I mean, and how has your work been affected so far? We're all kind of affected at the moment, but how about you?
Yeah, so I work currently in a public relations agency. So we still have clients, but like clients that are having events, they have to be postponed or canceled. So we still do like some of the communication messages for that. So it's slower. It's a lot slower, but at least I at least we still have some work to do, and
Hmm.
yeah, we are all adapting to like work from home situations right now. So hopefully that helps curb people from going out unnecessarily too.
Mm, mm. Well, yes. I mean, in my own personal, I mean, I never really went out anyway, so it's no big change to me. So it's like, oh, this is what it's like. Anyway, Jess.
Mm.
So, so what's the situation with you? What's you moved back to Japan recently, and you went, Ray, I
Yeah.
moved back to Japan, and then lockdown happened.
Yeah, we were stuck in the hotel for 50 days because we couldn't get the military to help us on our end until it was almost too late to get into our new house. But it's about as soon as we moved in, everything locked down.
Oh dear. So you touched on that briefly, Bernie. Getting back to you, you're doing a master's in Singapore in communication studies,
Yeah, communications.
and you said you did some teaching there as well. So I mean, you suddenly switched from being a student to actually giving the tutorials, and how was that?
Yeah, so it was quite different because I did my undergraduate in Japan, and Japanese universities are very, very different from Singapore universities. So the students there are very different as well. So in Japan, most students are like, yeah, they're very chill, you know, they're like, yeah, whatever, I'm in the university already, time to have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them, of course, do a lot of work and pay a lot of attention in classes, but in Singapore, it's kind of like it's a lot crazier. Like
Yes, the sort of like
students, yeah,
sort of
students are
the
like, I,
Asian parents at their backs to sort of you
yes,
must study.
they're like, I need to get my good grades. So they're all like really crazy. The workload is much heavier compared to Japanese university. So it was a bit of like trying to juggle that and also trying to understand the students' point of view. Like they will try and do whatever they can to get extra marks or extra points in class.
So you got lots of
Um,
apples.
yeah, so and then for me as a student at first, I think my first semester when I started teaching, because I was still like a full-time student and I was just doing teaching as part of like a requirement for graduate students. So I was always like, oh no, what if the students I'm teaching are like smarter than me, or like what if I don't know what if I like don't know how to properly explain things to them, you know?
You just bluff.
So
You bluff.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically what
And
happened.
yeah,
You
Fake
know,
it till
and
you
then
make it.
you have Google on.
exactly. And like I told my students that now too, because like I was also teaching courses in like public speaking. And then a lot of the courses have like a presentation format. So like when they create like campaigns, advertising campaigns, then they need to present it. And then the tip is always to pretend that you know everything and that you're super confident. And like if me listening, I'll be like, yeah, yeah, okay, you seem like you know your stuff. So then they can get better grades. Um, so I think after the first semester of doing that, it just got a lot easier because I'm like, yeah, okay, I know how the style that the students want. Some students want really, really hands on, lots of feedback. So you have to be able to adapt to that. And yeah, so I always like really feel for my students too because I see how much they're struggling, how much stress they're under as well. And
Oh,
I'm
you've
like,
been a student as well, so I mean, yeah, you know it.
yeah.
You know, sort of like you know.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel really grateful that I went to a Japanese university because the stress that I felt there is so much different from the stress that I would have felt if
Mm.
I had stayed in Singapore. So it made me more grateful for having studied in Japan.
And do you think sort of the your experience from that has helped you significantly with the current work, or is it because for example, I studied fine art as a degree, and it's about as much use as a chocolate fireplace. But to me,
I guess like it did help me relate more to international students, I guess, and then understanding what it felt like to be an exchange student coming over. But so some of the stuff that I learned in Japan wasn't exactly transferable to what I was studying in Singapore. But I guess it kind of helped in the sense that I wrote a thesis for my undergrad in Japan, and then a little bit of that helped in for me writing my master's thesis in Singapore.
I remember writing my thesis just for a bachelor's, and it was all handwritten on bits of paper, stuck together, and then taken to somebody to type it all up. This was like 30 years ago, so I mean, you know, no like machines to do it for you then. So we're talking about Japan because Jess is there and Bernie has been there. How many times have you been to Japan, Bernie? Actually,
let's see. So the first time I went to Japan, I think it was in 2010 or 2011. And then the second time was basically when I moved to Japan. And then subsequently, after moving back, I have been to Japan 2 more times. So I guess it's like a total of 4 times, but like one time was for 4 years. So
Yeah.
So what was your original? What sort of made you think I want to go to Japan? What you know?
I think what made me want to go to Japan was because I was just a giant weeaboo. Yeah, like
Okay.
I just freaking love like
So yeah, yes, it's coming out now.
yeah. Yeah, like I was just crazy about Japanese culture. I watched lots of anime, I read lots of manga, and that's basically how it started. And then I started watching Japanese dramas, and then I found out about this like one particular Japanese band, and then it just all went, I guess, maybe downhill, but also uphill in a sense, because like I really enjoyed, going to Japan and everything. So yeah, I'm really glad that I went down the rabbit hole and became a otaku and became a weeb. So yeah, that's.
Do you think you've moved on from there now? Are you still a closet weeb?
I think I have mellowed down a lot. Like last time, I would basically be just like buying lots of merch, buying lots of manga and everything. But now, not so much. Yeah, like because like the main reason now is because like I'm trying not to buy too many things and like clutter stuff. So if there's a digital version or like an online thing that I can keep, I'm gonna buy it. Like I buy lots of digital games and stuff. But I have definitely cut down on like CDs or whatever that I buy. Also because like computers don't have CD drives anymore. So,
Yeah.
So now everything is just Spotify and digital. So yeah.
Japan is still pretty heavy on CDs for stuff, especially for otaku merch. Like if you want to see lives or concerts, they're often put like raffles for the concerts inside the CD purchase. So you have to like buy the CD to even be allowed to go to or have a chance to go to a concert. It's like the ultimate trap. But yeah.
That's a good
crazy.
idea.
I don't even think cars are built with CD things anymore.
Like you hear people like buying like 10s and 20s and 30 or like hundreds of like the CDs because they just want to go to like the idol handshake event or some whatever thing. So it's crazy.
Hello, KCIJ series. I'm not quite sure who that is, but you're very welcome joining us here. And Nosh has said, Chilukat. Is that the plushie behind you or something? Chilukat? Or is it? I'm not quite sure.
I think that's supposed to be a face that he's making in the chat.
Okay, right.
Yeah, if you look over, it's a little cat. Yeah. So, what do you call him? Emoticon or something?
Yeah, probably an emoticon, right?
Emote,
yes.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the phonetic spelling of an emoticon. I'm not quite sure. So, I mean, I first learned of you, Bernie, like in the way that Jess did through the YouTube J-Vlog and all the J-Vlog business. And for a while, you were a J-Vlogger. And that's how I really sort of got to know you. Now you sort of came on my original show. But your channel has been It's possibly tied to the hiatus. It's been rather inactive, shall we say, for a while. But do you still go out and
Oh shit! Hi, Kevin.
It's Kevin Crocker. Yes, of course. KCIJ. It sort of sounds like Casey and the Sunshine Band. I don't know. Jesus is here also. I didn't know he subbed. Yes, I'd be lucky. Sorry. It's turning into one of those shows, isn't it? No. Yes. Do you still sometimes video stuff, Bernie?
Okay, so I haven't really been videoing anything very much. Like, okay, because like I think the main issue was because like my channel was built around being a J vlogger, right? Vlogging about Japan, life in Japan. And then when I actually left Japan, I was like, oh no, then what should I vlog about? Or like, what should I do? And then I think because like in Japan, when you're talking to your camera in English, it's not so bad because people may not understand you. Or even if they do, they just think you're the weird gaijin. Okay, whatever. Just ignore her. But I think in Singapore, I'm definitely just way more conscious about it. So I don't really vlog very much in Singapore. And I think people just look at you like, that person is crazy. Okay. Or like, that person, that person is probably trying to be a YouTuber. Ew. Yeah. So,
yeah, that second reaction is hard nowadays.
Yeah, so like I think it's been hard. And then like when I went back to Japan sometimes on holiday, I would be like, hey, I just want to enjoy this thing instead of trying to do footage also. So that was a little bit difficult. So the thing is, I do have some footage from like when I was in Japan or like leftover from here and there. And then another issue is having to sit down and edit everything and then try and like find the music and all. And it's been a little bit hard with like work, with school, and then now with the new job. Because sometimes, like after I finish work, I just want to go home and I just want to play Animal Crossing and do nothing else, which is basically what I've been doing recently. Like the moment I finish work, I'm like, it's Animal Crossing time. That's it. That's all.
Oh, to me, it's Metal Gear Solid, but I mean, yeah, it's slightly different. But yes, I know what you mean. I mean, I've when I first went to Japan, I diligently sort of videoed things and brought out 6 videos of my trip there. And then the second time I went to Japan, I think I managed to get 1 video out. And then the third time I went to Japan, I was like, nah. The fourth time out, I was like, I've still got footage on my camera locked away. like I just Instagram, that'll do. What's Nosh saying? I watch YouTube bloggers in many countries. It's always interesting to see how different cultures react to someone talking to their camera. Some ignore it, some get angry, and some ham it up. Yes. Have you ever been photobombed? That's good.
I have.
How did you react?
Oh, I didn't mind that. Well, the only time I really didn't like it, you just hear me go, motherfucker. But I've had more people get like angry or make comments than actual like photobomb or ham it up. And I don't handle that stuff very well. So if someone makes like a snide comment behind me, it's then gonna get caught on camera, my own camera, when I hurt them. I don't want that.
Goes viral. So let's get on to the next question, Bernie. So we now established that Animal Crossing trumps YouTube all the So and you were just mentioning before about sort of being kind of like self-conscious, walking around in Singapore, talking to yourself, talking to a camera. But in general, in Singapore, comparing Japan and Singapore, what do you say the pluses and the minuses of both?
I think, okay, so I guess the pluses for Japan is having 4 seasons. That's number 1. Because Singapore is just summer all year round. It's just so hot.
Yeah.
And today it was 33 degrees, but it felt like 41 degrees, and everybody just wanted to die because it was so hot. But yeah, so the good thing about Japan is 4 seasons. You get really nice sakura in spring now. And then you get snow in winter. You have really nice stuff in autumn. That's a plus. I love Japan's kombini. I think that is also another one of my favorite things. Singapore has 7-Eleven, but the 7-Eleven here isn't as cool as Japan's 7-Eleven. The food we have here isn't as nice. Like in the sense that there's not as much variety of like bento sets or like juice, for example. And then I think I really like Japan's music culture. Like they have lots of like small concerts, small live concerts. So it's really easy to attend, and you could really find like lots of bands you wanted to go to.
Yeah, certainly in Tokyo, it's like every little sort of back alley has a club somewhere. You know. Oh,
yeah, definitely. And I mean, alcohol is a lot cheaper in Japan because of I think lower taxes. In Singapore, it's crazy. Yeah, like you spend like $12, $15 on a cocktail or something, and in Japan you can just go to the kombini and just buy like a chuhai or something for $1. Yeah, which was really really good. So I drank too much in Japan sometimes. But,
I had nothing to do with that.
It was just me like, hey, chuhai, it's just $1. Yeah, I'm gonna just buy that. And then in Singapore, I guess what I prefer more in Singapore is I think I like the like transport is just nearby because we are so small. So you just walk like 5 minutes, maximum like 10 minutes, you can get to a bus stop or you can get to the train station. But in
5 minutes
Japan,
later,
sometimes
you're on the other side of Singapore. No, sorry.
yeah, and you can just get there to the other side in I don't know, maybe like an hour. But in Japan, sometimes you walk like 15 minutes. Sometimes people walk way longer than that. And if you're in the countryside, the trains are not as frequent, etc. And then taxis are so expensive at night. So if you stay out, you're like either staying out the whole night or like sleeping somewhere.
Sleeping in it, yeah. Sleeping
Yeah,
on
or
the
because it's like
platform.
too expensive to go home. But in Singapore, you can just grab a cab or like an Uber or something just to get back home, and it's really cheap. And then I think because now, you know, with the whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing, I think I'm just really thankful that of like what my Singapore government was doing. And then when I was like looking at the situation in Japan, I was like, oh man, Japan, what are you doing? You know, why are you just denying the fact or like not testing, blah, 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 you know? And then I was just really thankful Singapore is small. We are able to enforce things easier. And also because our government just does stuff. And
Well, yes, I've
have,
been
like,
noticing that the governor of Singapore has been on. I've seen videos of him, and all the comments in the videos. This is the most sensible man I've ever seen. He should be.
Yeah. So like, cause like we acted. I think we did act quite fast, and I think the government is not trying to like say like no, we don't have cases or like we don't need to test. They're very transparent on the number of cases we had, the number of deaths, and everything, which I think is very important. Yeah, and I guess like our ministers are all being held accountable for whatever they're doing. So I was really thankful of that.
Yeah, unlike Japan. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You recently went on holiday, just to sort of switch topics here, to New Zealand. And I have in the video, you're jumping out of an airplane in New Zealand in the advert. So it's quite an adventurous holiday. Could you tell us about it? What made you decide to go to New Zealand? Just I want to go there, or
No, it was actually my boyfriend's idea. He was like, "Hey, I want to do a really big trip this year," and then he thought about going to New Zealand, and then he looked it up, and then it looked pretty cool. So we were checking up about like driving a camper van and everything, and then just nice, we both got our driving license last year, so we could rent a car and drive there. So
cool.
yeah, so that was basically like, hey, New Zealand's pretty cool. And then everything worked out. Like I was free because like once the school semester is over, I'm basically on holiday. So we had the time, and then we decided, yeah, let's just do it. So that's why we went to New Zealand. And
I mean,
so
look quite
nice.
adventurous. Did you specifically go? I'm going to jump out of an airplane. I'm going to sort of go kayaking, and you know.
So the skydiving was another friend's idea. She really wanted to do it. She was like, I want to go skydiving, guys. So we were like, okay, let's just do it too. You know, it's like a once in a lifetime thing.
Mm.
So we
Yeah.
all decided to do it, and it was really scary at first. And then once you actually like the first few seconds before you jump out of that airplane, that's the scariest part. Because you feel like you're just falling and like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna die. And then after that, it like you're kind of like the floaty feeling for a while. And then the dude that strapped to you at the back, he'll be like, "Woo, yeah, we're doing okay." And then you're like, "Okay, fine, I can enjoy myself now."
Yes,
And yeah,
that's the advice to take away from this show. Have a dude strapped to your back to tell you everything's okay.
Yeah. If he says it's okay, you know you must be okay because his life is
There's people wandering around with a guy strapped to their backs.
That's the only way you can actually do skydiving now if you're not already a professional. So I think you do have to be piggybacked by someone.
and thank goodness for
You don't
that.
get to choose
because
who it is. I mean, I'll have that one.
they're like, no, this person is assigned to you. You can't choose.
Aw.
Yeah, but I mean the point is that if you're already in a country, you should just like try new stuff, new things, even if it makes you really uncomfortable because you're already there. So I think at least even if it wasn't that good of an experience, you know, like, okay, I don't like this because I've tried it, and then now next time you won't try it again. So yeah, I'm just glad. Like some of the stuff that we did in New Zealand was a bit spontaneous. Like, oh hey, there's like this area. There's stuff like kayaking. You want to try kayaking? Okay, let's go. And then we went kayaking. Or like, hey, there's this hike that sounds pretty cool, so we went for it. So like some days we didn't have like a fixed itinerary, so we wouldn't be constrained like, hey, we have to do or like we
Yeah.
have to complete
Yeah, we paid for it. We've got to
ABCDE.
do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
more like we had the fixed things like the skydiving. So we're like, okay, this day we're doing skydiving. So we can do whatever we want to like on the days before that, but we just have to make sure that we are there to do the skydiving on that day. And then other than that, we just found what we wanted to do and then just did whatever we wanted. Yeah.
That was cool. I mean, yes. I mean, while you were telling me that, I was trying to think, what is different and exciting if you come to Belgium? And I was thinking, exciting things to do in Belgium.
Like, see, so that's the thing, right? Like, if you ask people like of your own country, like if someone asks me what's exciting to do in Singapore, I'm like,
shopping.
Yeah, like shopping, eating food. I don't. Yeah, so like it's very difficult to think what is exciting in your own country because to you it's like very normal. Yeah.
So now I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to skip a question about sort of do you still hear from old crowd, because the old crowd is here. But what appeals to you about drag queens, and what's that all about?
What doesn't appeal to you?
Yeah, what doesn't appeal to you? Drag queens are awesome. Like,
they're hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, how did I start finding out about it? I don't know. I think somebody just like a lot of people were just talking about RuPaul's Drag Race on social media. And I just kept seeing people like, oh my god, the new season is coming, like it's so cool, blah blah blah. And I was like, maybe I should start watching it as well. So then I just started watching a season and I was like, hell yeah, this is really, really funny and this is really cool. And then again, the rabbit hole opened and then I jumped into it and probably not as crazy as my obsession with Japan, but it's still pretty good. Like I have been to drag shows in Singapore when they do bring like the RuPaul's drag race performers over. And that was really, really cool. So I think what I really like about it is they're very unapologetically themselves, which I think is something a lot of people like need to learn. Like if you're feeling shy about who you are, or like especially anyone who is maybe a minority or afraid of like their own, I don't know, if they're afraid of coming out or anything. And then you can like get inspiration from like the drag queens to be whoever you want to be. And I guess it's very I don't know. You can feel like very inspirational.
Nosh is explaining that
overconfidence.
yes, it's about confidence.
Overconfidence is attractive.
Yeah.
No matter where it's coming from, even if the things they're saying are absolutely fucking ridiculous. Because they're so confident about it, it draws you in, especially if you're a more insecure person. So people like LGBT, who generally aren't going to be very secure people as a bulk, are more attracted to that. And for them to see someone that's similar to them up there, it's inspiring. You know, like if they can get out there and do that, so can I. And then they, even if they never do, you know, they see someone else doing it and they feel like they're a part of it for like reality shows or whatever.
And I think also like the fashion and the makeup aspect of it, you're like, whoa, damn, that's really nice makeup, or like, wow, their outfits are really cool. And then you can, I guess you can also think about like, yeah, maybe I can do like makeup like that too, or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of creativity.
You hang on a minute. Go back a bit. You think you could do your makeup like that? So I'm just trying to imagine.
I can.
I can't. Yeah, but Mama just definitely can't.
Oh yeah, I definitely have in the past. I actually got trained on how to do makeup from a drag queen. Because I used to work as a bouncer at a bar that did cabaret shows like that.
And he taught you your makeup, how to do it. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a turn up for the books. A guy teaching a woman how to do makeup.
I love it.
All right. Was it Nosh? Nosh was saying that he doesn't understand the appeal of drag queens either, but his wife sort of really loves it. He thinks it's generational. I would say it's more sort of gender based, perhaps. But it seems more
women can do like this stuff a lot more. And I think part of that goes back to, you know, there's a lot of things like men and women don't ever understand. So when it comes to drag queens who get a lot of the shit women are into, that because they're into it as well, it's a nice like gap being closed. Even if it is with a smaller group of men, it's still a gap being closed.
But I do think like the generation thing may also, I don't know, may also like add on, because like my students in school, so many of them watch RuPaul's Drag Race as well. Like and like a lot of the terms that they use end up being like become like normal phrases that they tend to use, like normal slang. Like everybody uses the phrase "spill the tea," like talk about the tea, stuff like that, and then that didn't.
Some of them don't even know where it came from.
Yeah,
like I have no clue. I mean,
no
clue.
Like when people go yes, and I'm like
yes. Okay, I can't.
And then in the same sentence, they're like bash LGBT, and I'm just like, do you know what you're doing?
Or like when they try and do the shit, I can't do it. The I can't roll the thing like.
Well, that's Cardi B.
Yeah, but so the thing is, like, lots of queens do it too, but then people are like, no, only Cardi B does it. They took it from Cardi B.
No.
Yeah, so I'm just like,
This is viewer for those viewers who are not familiar with it, like me. We're now into unknown territory. You'll have to Google it, viewers.
There's really an age thing though, because like I'm not young.
All right, Nosh is explaining here. Nosh has been on lockdown for a month and he's been forced to watch so much Drag Race, not to mention 90 Day Fiancé shows and housewife shows. And
I
all
don't
that
get
stuff.
those.
No, but I watched so much 90 Day Fiancé too.
I like watching the clips. I like watching the moments of like just the weirdest drama stuff, just so I can laugh at them and feel better about myself. Like the hell if I would ever leave it to my groom to buy my wedding dress and stuff like that over my dead body.
Oh dear. Oh. So my next question is completely sort of different to that. I mean, we all know we're all now in this current situation. Nosh is in lockdown, sort of having to watch drag queens, and we're here stuck in our houses doing this. But when things have settled down, Bernie, do you plan any more visits to Japan?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think there are still quite a few parts of Japan that I haven't really been to or like haven't explored properly. So I went to Kyushu last year with a friend. So we did like a few days in Fukuoka, Kumamoto, and around the area, and then we moved up to like Tokyo. But we feel like we haven't properly explored enough of Kyushu. Like there's even more to see. So that's probably an option. And when I also spent only like 2 nights in Sapporo because I just actually went there for a concert. So I didn't really explore anything else there except for go to concert venue, watch a concert. Next day, eat food.
Go to hotel.
And then, go to hotel, fly back to Kansai. So I think definitely there's a lot more places to see. And also because I can drive now, that opens up more options. So I can like drive and do like.
You don't want to drive here.
Really?
No? Why?
As someone who drives here, you don't want to drive here.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, we shuttled backwards and forth to the base
where
and stuff.
I am now, it's awful.
Maybe like the countryside parts won't be so bad.
Well, I am technically country, but now I'm in like a richer neighborhood area. So like the cops are way more extreme. But like, I will say that the only good thing about here is Japanese drivers tend to be way more polite. So like, you don't have to worry about being able to merge into traffic. They're going to let you in. But you're going to drive super slow. And people are going to do weird shit while you're driving. And pedestrians do not care about their lives at all. And the bikes, the scooters, oh my God. I don't know what happens to one of my friends. He's the most careful person I've ever met in my life. But the moment he gets on a scooter, it's full YOLO all the way. He just does all the dangerous shit that could get him killed. But that's the way all of them drive those things. And it drives me crazy.
I was thinking that when I come to Japan next, I'm getting my license upgraded to international, or getting a sort of 1 year international license and having a go, because I've not been out beyond the sort of the main areas either. I'd like to sort of, mainly because the public transport to them is pretty rubbish.
I guess the furthest would have been was probably my place.
Well, apart from Yamaguchi.
Yamaguchi's out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you get off the main road there, it's like, when's the next bus? March. Perk says the worst he experienced was Nigeria, but it was oddly fun in an I'm gonna die kind of way.
The worst place I've ever been. I had to transit through Mumbai once. Oh, I had like a 17-hour layover, and I thought I was gonna die. I'm pretty sure I saw a dead body, and I'm pretty sure I saw a taxi run over it too because they didn't move it out the road in time. Like, oh my God, there's like 6 lanes drawn on the road, but there's like 10 that people have made.
All aiming to get into 6 lanes.
And Shanghai was the same way because I had another long layover there. Oh, I hate Shanghai so much.
No, I mean, I've only heard good things about Shanghai. I mean, but that's the sort of like the posh bit.
I mean, around the airport, it's awful.
Well, I've never been, so I can't say from experience. All those lanes have to merge when there's a traffic light.
Yes. You have areas where it'll just suddenly bottleneck. Yeah. Because it'll go from that big open to like nothing, but everyone is still going forward.
I turn left now. Good luck, everybody. Like Simpsons.
That happens in Japan. That happens all the time. People will be all the way over, knowing damn good and well that their fucking exit is coming up, and all of a sudden.
So yeah, you will be going back, but you will be Perhaps not now, discouraged from driving, but
I mean, if you want to have the experience of it, go ahead. Like, the drivers are frustrating and annoying, but if you kind of know it coming in, it's not as bad. Like, just don't have your expectations very high.
I mean, can you read the road signs? I mean, and notices, Bernie, because you obviously studied Japanese.
You would need, you probably want to study those signs.
I just rely on Google Maps in English. I mean,
we will.
Oh, that thing lies to you too. Don't trust.
Yeah, Google Maps is. Oh, I heard Google Maps in Japan.
It's better, but.
I'm be curious about the pronunciation. I have it set on the English pronunciation for Google Maps.
It doesn't try it. It doesn't try.
It doesn't try it. Well, here it does its best. It does its best. If it can't pronounce it, it spells it. So if you're coming to sort of XYZJ from the street, okay.
Oh no!
Oh my god! I wish it would do that here. Some of the road names. Like, especially some
by the time it spelled it out, you passed the turning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're like, whoa. You're like, wait, what is it saying? And then it's like, oh, that was my turn. Oh, okay.
And here, that could be the difference of a lot of money with tolls.
Oh yes, toll roads.
I hate going through the toll booths here because like the signs tell you which one is cash and which one's going to be the ETC, which is the little reader thing. Like it says cash this way, ETC. They're backwards. Cash is always going to be on the other side. But you just come to an area. There's no lanes. It's a free for all. Good luck to get into your side. And almost always, I end up having to cross like multiple lanes of traffic to get over to the cash side because I still haven't gotten an ETC reader on our car.
Oof.
Zenrin apparently was the Google version of of Google Maps in Japan. Never heard of it. It was dropped by Google apparently. It ruined Google Maps. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but I mean,
Japanese people run stop signs and red lights all the time. It's a suggestion.
Stay inside. It's dangerous. Don't keep social distance. It's a suggestion.
Exactly.
Suggestions too. Oh, no.
Yeah. So now you get home, Bernie, from your work or your telework, and you decide, right, I've had enough of telework. Now it's time for Animal Crossing. But do you sometimes actually go on the old YouTube and watch anybody anymore?
I have mainly been watching food videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's mainly it. Or like, I like to watch what's that place name? Is it Great Big Story or something? Where they do like those cute little documentaries about was it like, oh, what's breakfast in Japan? And then I think there's also what's his name? Paulo in Tokyo or something.
Oh, Paulo in Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
Like, cause he will do videos on like, oh, this is a day in the life of like a salaryman or something, and then those are pretty cool to watch. But what else do I watch? I generally just watch whatever is thrown to me in my recommendations, which is a lot of food. So yeah, so I'm really just watching mainly like food videos, a lot of 90 Day Fiancé. all the TLC stuff is always in my recommendations. I get a lot of like mukbang videos in my recommendations as well.
I've had a mukbang. I've had a mukbanger on my show.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's everywhere. And then I used to be like, hearing food sounds and chewing sounds, that's gross. And now I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not
No,
too
I
bad.
can't do it.
Like I can do it but I like to watch the people eat like the spicy seafood or like the spicy enoki.
I like to watch people suffer eating them.
Ah, yeah.
But not the ones that are just like shoveling. I'm like, okay, this is all I hear is you.
Noshi's asking, what about native Japanese YouTubers? Do you watch any of those?
So I used to watch. Yeah, I used to watch quite a lot, but now not too much. I think also because suddenly like they don't really appear in my recommendations as much anymore.
Hmm.
I used to really watch a lot of I used to watch a lot of like PDR-san and Hajime
Mm.
Shacho and
Mm.
like that whole gang like Hajime Shacho, Mahoto, PDR, I think Dante, PDS as well,
Hmm.
and like yeah, all of those types. Then what else did I watch? But now, like, oh yeah, what's her name? The one who eats lots and lots of food. Uh, she
Risa.
said the
Huh?
no, like the really cute Japanese girl that eats. Kinoshita Yuka. Yeah, okay, her.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I used to watch a lot of them. I think I watched a bit of like Hikakin and stuff. Oh, and I really like Cooking with Dog.
Ah, yeah.
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 Yeah. So I usually, yeah, it's still mainly those people. I still watch Rachel and June. I love
All
June's
right.
Kitchen, by the way,
Hmm.
because he always has really, really nice recipes, and their cats are so cute. And they're so well behaved. Like I can't believe it.
If it wasn't for the cats, yes.
I think I will watch like anyone that has like animals with them because I'm like, oh, it's so
Right.
cute.
I'm writing this down now. Next week on the Simon NoChaNoMa show, Simon and Cat. Rent a cat.
Mm.
Your
Oh.
friend cat. I end up watching like a lot of Seiyu radio shows that have been like translated, or they're just they give you like the recording. A lot of the live shows they're starting to right now. Any of the concerts they were supposed to have, they're live streaming them on like Abeme TV and other things. So I do watch a lot of those
Hmm.
and a lot of cooking videos, but it's because I cook a lot.
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
I have in my subscriptions. I have I think only a couple of actual native Japanese YouTubers, and they're both very new and both women and both live in Tokyo. One's sort of got married, and they only have like 10 subscribers or something like that. So, but I quite like watching. It's very relaxing. That's why I watch them, really.
Mm.
You know.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think oh yeah, I just remembered another like Japanese native Japanese channels that I watch is there's actually quite a lot more plus size Japanese YouTubers now. So they will
Mhm.
do things
Yeah,
like they will
gotcha.
buy yeah, really. There's this one lady that I follow, like I think Ai Momoka or something. She did like a plus size fukubukuro opening,
Mhm.
and that was really cool. So she does a lot of things like she goes to like GU and Uniqlo and finds like plus size clothes that's available there.
Mm.
And then because I found her one channel in the recommended and like the related video tab or like the column, there was
Mm.
actually quite a few more of those, and I was like really surprised because I think back when I was still living in Japan, it was so
That
rare.
was
Like you don't see like
even for
anybody.
foreigners, you couldn't be that big, or people would
Mm,
shame you and stuff.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think it's really, really cool that it's happening now as well, because I
Mhm.
guess it's maybe showing Japan is moving in a right, in the at least in the right direction towards being
Mm.
more acceptable to larger people as well.
Mm. Mm. I remember on your I mean your blog has not been really updated for a while. Sorry, but but I mean I've been doing sort of a bit of back research on
Mm.
you, and that was one of the subjects, plus sizes, and also there was a women's blog as well that you did articles for. Can't
Mm.
remember, I've forgotten the name. Yeah, I mean, do you still sort of do that kind of thing?
Yeah, once in a while I do. So the content that I was like planning and I've been like writing a bit for my blog is mostly like for example, like travel itineraries. It's just
Mm.
that sometimes I'll write like, yeah, so much inspiration. Like, right. And then I will reach a point where like, oh no, I have no more time to continue writing. Okay, I will finish it another day. And
Mm.
then that another day just kind of
Happens to be 2 years later.
yeah.
SpongeBob voice. 2 years later.
Yeah, a long time later. So yeah, that happens, but I mean, it's something that like it's quite very close to me because like I think in Singapore too, we are being a lot more open to like plus size people. You see them a lot more in the media now too, and so I think it may be a global thing, which I think is really really good. But once in a while, you still get people that like fat shame and everything, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
stop promoting morbid obesity, blah blah blah. And then it it's a very iffy thing, and but I still think it's good because there is awareness of it's going on, and I'm just so happy that in Japan that it's actually happening, because I felt like Japan was one of the most, how to say, non plus size friendly places.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and now I guess
But I
it's
think with like
slowly getting better.
they got like actresses and or comedian like Naomi, that's really big now. I think like because they're promoting people like her, it's starting to be a little more okay. Like you can be a bigger person and not necessarily be really unhealthy either, but you're just, you know, you are that way and still be an amazing, beautiful person.
Yeah,
So I
like
mean,
I
yes,
think.
it's. I mean,
Sorry.
it's. Yeah, I was going to say it's. I mean, do you notice that on YouTube, for example? You mentioned some Japanese YouTubers that are like that. I mean, it's becoming more prominent. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think it's becoming more prominent to showcase them for like how beautiful they are or how talented they are in doing something, where last time I felt they were just being made fun of. Like I think when Naomi Watanabe started, you know, she was a comedian and they were just laughing at her mostly for like making jokes or whatever, like ha ha ha, you know, it's funny because she's like big. But now it's more of like, hey, look at her and what amazing things she's achieving, you know, and not because of like her size or like using it as like a gag for a comedy skit or something. So I think that is definitely good that there is that type of change. But I think a bit more can be done, like more plus size friendly brands, I guess. And I still think they still have a lot of the like, oh no, you know, this woman like she lost a lot of weight, now she's really happy, now she managed to find a boyfriend type of messages that
Yeah.
are still
Yeah.
going. And I think that kind of like needs to stop because that's not healthy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's not just something you see on the internet either. Like they advertise stuff like that on a tray.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, yo, that's not cool. Losing weight isn't going to automatically guarantee you to get a boyfriend for one or to live happily ever after. If you want to lose weight, do it for yourself and your own
Yeah.
health or whatever, and no other reason.
Yeah, not to
Exactly.
be sort of fit into the ideas of society or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now we had it at the beginning, and we shall have some at the end. You've been back in Singapore how long now? When have you been? 3 years.
Yeah, I think almost 4 years. Is it?
So
Yeah,
you've
probably like 3-4 years
you've kind of slipped back into to the lifestyle and everything. You know where I'm going with this. The last question. So you've been there a few years now. So when you're not on in public like this, do you speak Singlish?
Yes. Like so the very weird thing is like, see, I sometimes don't try to put on an accent or anything, but it just happens. Like today, you know, when we just started having the live chat, like this is the voice that I'm speaking in now, but I don't speak like this in real life to my friends and when I'm at work as well. So I don't know why, and I don't know how to stop it sometimes.
So I mean,
Because
what do
like,
we do? Are we now talking Singlish, or do you talk Singlish with your friends and colleagues?
yeah, I talk English with my friends and colleagues. Yeah. Or like everybody in Singapore. But I don't know why when it magically happens when I'm like maybe online in a setting like this, or like when I'm trying to, or like when my friends from overseas come over and I'm trying to like show them around, sometimes I just end up slipping into this like speaking like this as well and not using Singlish. So I don't know. I don't know
Yes,
why
because
it happens.
I'm quite
It's around you,
amazed.
that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm amazed that the whole show you've not said "la" at all.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Like my brain is like, no, I can't. No Singlish time now. It's like
Yeah.
the other way to speak now.
Oh, I do that all the time. So, like, when I'm back home in Georgia, the redneck comes out whether I wanted to or not. Like, I have to consciously think about it because you hear it all around you. And it's something that you originally did before you learned speaking in different other manners. So you reside back to it. But if I get around, like, my Irish side of the family, that accent comes in thick, like I lived in Belfast my whole life. But I only been there once.
So could you give us an example, Bernie, then of your normal day-to-day speech? Sort of, if you know, answer my question now, sort of, in Singlish. So you know, what is your day-to-day job in at the office? What do you do?
So basically in the morning, right? Then I go to the office, and then like I will turn on the switch. I turn on the lights, and then after turning on the lights, I will turn on the aircon, and then I will go to my desk and turn on the computer. Okay, it's
So far,
sorry.
I've understood that perfectly so far.
Yeah, it's really hard. But wait, maybe I can give an example. Like, say if you were going to go for lunch, so like in normal, like perfect, like normal English, you'll be like, "Hey, do you want to go for lunch now?" Or like whatever. And then maybe in Singlish, like, "Hey, you want to go eat now or not?"
Pardon?
Or like, yeah, something like that.
I'll have some
Or
nama.
or like if it's really hot outside, it's like, wow, today damn hot, yeah, cannot tahan. It's really, wow, boleh tahan. Oh, something
There will
like
be
that.
subtitles later. Oh, that's cool. I like that. It's like, you know, I mean, is that? I mean, because the law is also common in Hong Kong. I mean, because my friend Chuck the Magpie lived there for a while, and she often, when I'm texting her, she often puts "la" on at the end. But I mean, is Sinhalese exclusive to Singapore, or can you, for example, if you sort of went over to Hong Kong or whatever and started speaking Sinhalese, would they get you, or would they go? Eh?
I think they may not get it because the thing about Singlish that makes it unique is that it's a mix of like a few different like languages or a few different dialects. So sometimes there will be Malay words like tahan, which actually means like to endure something, or like sometimes and then there's also like Hokkien dialects, which is like a dialect of Chinese that goes in. And then I think if you went overseas, because like for example in Hong Kong they would mainly use like Cantonese, but in Singapore because we use a different accent and throw it into with English, so I think it's a lot harder to understand. And then of course like different groups of Singaporeans will have like different slang that they use. So maybe someone of a different race would have more slang associated to their race as compared to say because I'm Chinese, so in my race maybe we would throw in more like Chinese words or like a bit more of like the Chinese dialect words as compared to say someone of a different race. Yeah.
And so you use it sort of daily, because I was reading up about it, and that up until about 20 years ago, it was the government tried to sort of ban it almost, and everybody had to speak. You had to speak Queen's English. Yeah, but it's more relaxed now, presumably, and
Yeah, we don't have the like please speak proper English or like no more speak good English movement thing because I think most Singaporeans now we go through the education system in Singapore that is predominantly in English. So in your lessons and everything, you're forced to actually learn proper English or do your exams in English in proper English. And if the answers you give are not in proper English, you get marked down for it. If
right.
your teacher can't understand what you're trying to say, then of course you get marked down for it as well. So I think they're trying. So at work or in professional settings, definitely we're supposed to use proper English. But so outside of that, you know, like at work, like casually talking to friends, with family, then definitely we all just mostly just slip into using English in non-professional settings. Yeah.
All right. No. And I just have the one voice. It's this one, and I use it for everything. Well, we've almost come to the end of the show, and what I would think would be quite cool is if you could. I don't know if you have if there's something in Singapore, like a TV show or something, or could you sign off for us in Sinhalese, in Singlish? Sorry, on the spot here.
No, we usually just end things the same way that we all like you would do in English. So, yeah.
How about sort of, for example, sort of see you next week, or this has been Simon NoChaNoMa's channel. See you next week, la.
No, see, so the problem is also like, saying something like "see you next week." We would just say "see you next week" in like English, in normal English.
Right.
There's no like Singlish equivalent of it, unfortunately. So, sorry, Simon, to let you down.
Okay. Oh, I mean, when you say bye to each other, there's no special Singlish word for bye. See you. No.
Nope, it's just
well.
Bye. Unfortunately.
Well, I shall say it in my one voice instead. I should like to thank you very much, Bernie and Jess, who was the surprise guest that Bernie was not expecting, for joining me on the show this week, and it's been great fun. And it's really good to catch up with both of you again. Next week on the show, and I shall then be spending sort of my free time this week thinking up questions, will be Andrew Woolmer from the Yokohama Theatre Group, which is based in Kawasaki, confusingly. But he'll be the guest on the show, so hopefully you will join me for that as well. But for now, I'd like to thank my guests and you, the audience, for joining me, and see you all again next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.